2016, Cody Garbrandt was on top of the world. He was picking up 3 straight first-round knockouts that year on the way to facing 22-1 bantamweight GOAT Dominick Cruz, and he was able to go out there, get the win. He looked amazing in the fight, dropped Cruz a couple of times, gets the belt. It's emotional.
Nailed him.
And after that fight, Matt, everyone in Northern California, or at least every guy, wanted to have a flaming diamond on their neck as a tattoo with the word self-made, because Cody Garbrandt, he did that, and he got to the top of the mountain. And since then, he's 1-5 with 4 knockout losses, 2 of them for the title. And Garbrandt now taking on Trevin Jones. It's weird, because you want to talk high highs. Cody Garbrandt beats the greatest of all time like it's written in stone. He's this amazing young champ. He's undefeated. And now all of a sudden the wheels are off. And if you look at it for Trevin Jones, his crowning achievement was he won the vacant PXC bantamweight belt a long time ago. And he's 13-9 with a no contest. But this is what I have to say about Trevin Jones. He came into the UFC, and I had no idea how much success he was going to have. His no contest due to the weed, he knocked out Timur Valiev, who was a giant favorite and a heck of a fighter. And then his next time out, he goes out and gets another finish over Mario Bautista, a big up-and-comer. And since then, Trevin Jones hasn't looked like the same fighter. Kind of looked more like the fighter that we saw in the regional scene, although we haven't even seen Trevin grapple in these 3 fights.
This is why I favor Cody Garbrandt heavily in this matchup, even though that's a wild thing to say at this stage of his career. But let me explain myself, please. Cody Garbrandt gets emotional and might fight in a chaotic way, right? Brawl when he probably shouldn't, because we know how good his boxing technique is when he really does stick to his technique and to his boxing. But even when Cody Garbrandt fights at his worst, he's still having success against some of the better fighters in the division. That's the thing. And I know the weight cut down to 125 does worry me. We'll see what the overall lasting conditions are of that, because I do worry about a guy moving up and down in weight at this stage of his career. And 10 pounds might not seem a lot when you're dealing with a guy like 205 in heavyweight, but...
You saw Dillashaw when he went down to 125.
Exactly. Like 10 pounds when you weigh 125 and 135 pounds is quite a bit of your body weight. So I do have some question marks about where Cody Garbrandt's durability is going to be. And that's always been a question mark for him. But even Cody Garbrandt fighting in that crazy emotional way is going to land pretty good power shots, have really good hand speed, and be open for big power shots. Trevin Jones has a lot of those same question marks as to, hey, what version of him are we going to get? But the differences in his versions are night and day. The differences are he'll either throw volume and have really good power and slip shots and have good head movement, or he'll stand in a mirror and not do very much of anything. And if we get that version of Trevin Jones, we can see Cody Garbrandt go in there, throw a couple of flurries, and get him out of there kind of fast, to be honest with you, because these are 2 fighters who have 2 different modes. The difference is, though, Cody Garbrandt's bad mode gets him hit more often. It might accentuate some of his weaknesses, but all of those positives are still there. Whereas with Trevin Jones, he just doesn't even show his positives when he's not fighting at his best.
Like Jones against Said Yakub Kakrakhmanov, don't know why he's not in the UFC anymore, but in that fight landed 12 significant strikes. Against Raoni Barcelos, he got dropped and he landed 11 significant strikes.
He just backed up the whole time.
He fought Javid Basharat, fought on the back foot. Now, counter-striking's worked for Trevin Jones in the past, but it didn't work for him against a guy like Javid Basharat, who's just too well-rounded and has more of a varied attack than some of those lower-level fighters that you're going to find at bantamweight. So for me, when I look at Trevin Jones, it's, does his counter-striking work out like it did against Valiev, where he stepped into the shot and he was able to land as Valiev was coming in and rock him? Barcelos was able to do that in the fight against Valiev. Is he able to go out there and land a good shot like he did against Mario Bautista? Is he able to turn maybe a takedown attempt out of a guy like Garbrandt, who's always had those wrestling shoes, and it used to be accentuated on his way up through the UFC.
We just don't see it,
I'm not going there. But could he do something like that? And then it initiates his own grappling, because to the credit of a guy like Trevin Jones, he has good jiu-jitsu. We've seen him compete in jiu-jitsu tournaments. He trains out of Drysdale BJJ in Vegas, but for this camp, training out of Fortis MMA as well. Or do we see him kind of wait in a mirror? Now, for Cody Garbrandt, one net negative on his entire career is he's a boxer and not a kickboxer, and he doesn't throw a lot of leg kicks.
Remember when he went to Thailand, though, before the second TJ fight, started blasting body kicks and still got knocked out? I did.
Now, for Garbrandt, the camp change, and this one is, and I went back about 50 weeks, March 8, 2022, I found one picture, the first, where he's with Eric Nixick. He's been at Extreme Couture for a really long time getting ready for this fight. And the guys he's training with are Dan Ige, Timur Hazgriev, and Timur Valiev. So good guys to get ready for a fight like this. But The main coach, and I put it for his gym in the graphic, so people are going to go, well, that's not his gym. The main coach that I've seen in the most amount of these pictures. Yes,
How many
you're right.
sleeves does he have?
Well, he always has the left one.
I know.
But he friggin' hates the right one. And I was watching the fights on the weekend, sitting there in the stands, watching the Canadians game with my wife, and I said, hey, look at this guy. He hates right-handed sleeves. It's Black Cobra Striking Systems, Dewey Cooper. So, a very technical boxing coach to work with no love Cody Garbrandt. Hopefully a little bit of that rubs off on him. Matt, in this matchup, I can break down the Garbrandt fights, the wins, Takeo Mitsugaki to get a title shot and then win off of that. Or the losses, the Dillashaw fights, the fight against Kai Kara-France where he got dropped multiple times. Or his fight against Rob Font that takes down his overall net striking skills and numbers in the UFC because he got heavily outstruck in that fight. Although he had some positives in it, but he got heavily outstruck at distance and he couldn't get past that pawing jab of Rob Font and then the 1-2 that was off the jab. So for Garbrandt, if the power's there, if the speed's there, if the volume's there to the boxing, he can definitely get the win. For Trevin Jones, he's got the power and you always have to worry about it.
I don't think Cody Garbrandt's going to be in the top 15 at bantamweight anymore. I just think there's too many good fighters in the division, and I do think his time has passed as being one of the top tier guys, but I still think at this stage of his career, he is still ranked higher than a guy like Trevin Jones, and I would expect Garbrandt, if he is able to get this win, to go back out there and get another big name on his resume. He probably won't fight like a Chito Vera or anyone in the top of the division, but anybody in the back half of the 15 or who's looking for like a big retirement fight, I think Cody Garbrandt's still a big enough name as a brand to kind of throw in there and still get big fights if he can beat Trevin Jones.
Well, we'll see if Trevin Jones is able to go out there and do what Dillashaw did twice and Munoz did. It's going to be tough when you're southpaw to land, that duck right hook. So we'll see if that happens from Trevin Jones. The odds ever so slightly in Cody Garbrandt's favor. The fan vote on this one, again, sloppy looking 5 on in, but I'm going to say over under 70% Cody Garbrandt, even though he's a slight favorite.
I think it'll be over.
I think it's going to be over. It's under.
Wow.
Wow, the fans surprising us. 1,379 total votes, 65% Garbrandt, 67% by knockout. For the 35% that don't know how good Trevin Jones is a grappler, 82% by knockout, just going off recent memory. And if you look at that Kai Kara-France fight, he feints, then he goes for the jab, then he lands the overhand right. That's the final move there. Kai Kara-France
is pretty sick, though, as a striker.
Against Garbrandt, I guess that's the first knockdown. The second one, he's able to go in there with a lunging right hook. But for me, I have Cody Garbrandt with the variety and the volume that he throws on the feet. Trevin Jones, watch out for his grappling, watch out for his power. But I'm going to ever so slightly edge Garbrandt here.
Yeah, I think Garbrandt's time at the top of the division is pretty much over, but I think he can still have fun fights against some good fighters who are still pretty relevant in the bantamweight division. I think he'll beat Trevin Jones, but I will be curious to see who he gets matched up with next, because I don't want to see Garbrandt fall into that rut of, hey, you want to fight this prospect with huge punching power? Like, I don't want to see Cody Garbrandt just become that guy.
Can Cody Garbrandt, Augusto Sakai, Don'Tale Mays? We're going to find out coming up this weekend. Both of us going with no love to get the win. And maybe if he wins, I'll get a diamond with flames that says self-made on my throat. Not a chance in heck. Big time fights left on this card. Bo Nickal debuting against, oh my goodness, Jamie Pickett. You're not going to want to miss it. Keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks, we always say.
Let's get into it.